Hey everybody, how y'all feel out there? I'm Greg Aalvik, and this is the Dubl A Show. Today on the Dubl A Show, your host, Greg Aalvik, will be exposing the spiritual poison responsible for taking down all of mankind. At any moment during this program, don't be surprised, Greg's been known to let out an inappropriate word here and there. So be ready for it, and don't spit out your drink. Just sit back, relax, and get ready to learn some really cool shit about the Bible. Here's Greg Aalvik. Hey, we're here already. We made it to episode 17. I'm going to try a couple of things a little different. One is I'm going to try to actually end this series. I want you all to really know when you walk away from this show today what the poison was specifically and how it affects us today and what we can do as an antidote to counteract the effects of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. And Jesus continued to kind of piss off and challenge the religious leadership of his time. The religious leadership were incredible scholars. People described them as incredible attorneys of the Bible. Like the law was this, they had extensive volumes of the law written down and like 612 specific laws that you'd do all this stuff, and then they had commentary and technical things that surrounded those laws, and it was just this endless array of crap that you had to pay attention to if you were living in that system, under that system, and trying to find salvation or please God or serve God. You had to do it in this very, very specific Jewish sort of way. Jesus came along and started, tweaking a lot of people the wrong way. And they were hearing him say stuff about the law of Moses and about Moses himself. And they were hearing him say stuff that was like sacrilegious. And that's one of the reasons Jesus died. Because he was literally saying stuff that was a put down. And Jesus would just say stuff like this all the time and kind of leave it. And he wouldn't correct people very often. He would just go, you're kind of dumb. Yelling, screaming matches, shouting matches between Jesus and the Pharisees where they were trying to say stuff. And Jesus would go, your father's the devil. You're a bunch of serpents. Your family are a bunch of poisonous vipers. Bad. You're a generation of vipers. You're just like your fathers who killed the prophet. He did not speak reverently to these religious leaders at all. And they were openly hostile to him. Some of them were subversive. They were trying to be sneaky, and they would get up there, and do a, let me ask you, oh rabbi, what do you think of if this woman dies and she had 17 husbands, those kind of questions. Who's she going to be married to in heaven? And Jesus goes, you're dumb. You don't know what the hell you're talking about. You don't know anything about heaven neither, right? Jesus would just say stuff like that, make them look stupid and foolish. They go, you know what? I don't think we should ask him questions anymore. Jesus didn't really talk bad about the Romans. Jesus wouldn't even talk bad about the Greeks. In fact, he would break the rules. He said, I just came here to talk to Israel. And I'm not here to talk to people outside of this nation. I'm just here for you guys. And then periodically, there would be a Roman or a Gentile, a woman from another country. Yeah, I'm not supposed to do this, but you know what? You got so much faith, I'm going to do it. Cool. He was friendly to everybody. If you were a tax collector, which I hated tax collectors, scoundrels, greedy bastards, right? And no one likes a tax collector. Even now, people don't like it. You collect taxes. Right? Don't like them. One of the disciples was a tax collector. Zacchaeus was a tax collector. And Zacchaeus and Jesus got tight, went to dinner, that kind of thing. There were fishermen. There was prostitutes. There were people that were regular, average, everyday Joes, so to speak, or everyday Marys. The Jewish leadership were the only people that Jesus just couldn't stand. He went off on him. I mean, it's not nice to call someone, you're the son of the devil. Your father's the devil. What? Right? Jesus revealed the viper. He revealed the poisonous serpent. He revealed the snake. And these were the people that you would find if you wanted to learn the knowledge of good and evil. You would go sit under a fig tree and listen to one of these religious leaders teach. If you wanted to learn how to think in a way that kills you spiritually, you'd go sit under a fig tree and listen to a rabbi teach Scripture, the law of Moses, the Torah. Yeah, that's what they did. A lot of the people that go to church and go to school don't know what Jesus is talking about. A lot of people, there's a lot of things in the Bible I don't know what Jesus is talking about. I wish I did. I sit there and I contemplate them. And you go, you listen, you kibitz with other people. Hey, that sounds good. I never thought of it that way, right? And you may not have ever understood some of the things I'm sharing. That's why I'm doing it. So, the knowledge of good and evil is the poison that we ate from a fig tree, which is a symbol, coming from a tree that's a symbol of the nation of Israel. People would sit under the fig tree. They were told to sit under the fig tree. Part of the promise of God, if you do this, I'm going to give you a fig tree to sit under. So what does that do to you? If you sit under the fig tree, you're going to learn the knowledge of good and evil. Yeah, but that's what the serpent, what is going on? And then you're going to realize that that's not the way to think. And so when my son and my son Jesus comes, he is the tree of life. And he gets you away from the law, from the knowledge of good and evil, and he teaches you about grace. He teaches you about, which is a discarding of the mentality that is put on steroids when you listen to the law. That's what it meant in the Bible when Paul was talking about. If you even look at Moses and the stuff Moses was talking about, the law of Moses, the Torah, you start getting a veil over your eyes. Starts coming, you start not being able to see. Because the knowledge of good and evil is a list mentality. Do you know what I mean? Yeah, I mean, everywhere you go, how many times you go and you go, okay, first we want to do the pros and the cons, don't we? We do that. We want to do the good parts, what's good about this, and then what's bad about it. And we divide that up. Let's see your marriage. Let's see what's good about your marriage and what's bad about your marriage, right? It's the list mentality. And what we want to do is we want to try to eliminate the bad list and focus on the good. And how do we create so our lives are nothing but the good side? You know that it's impossible to live that way. Actually, it was Paul, that all things work together for good to those who love God and are called according to his purpose. That's in Romans 8. God says, you should be looking at all things the way I do. When God was creating it, he said, I like it. It's good. It's all good. And then it went bad. No, we started making lists. God likes, if you go back to episode 3, forget the quality, I'm still learning, but episode 3 here, it was called lesson 3, is about the power of perfection, and it's on this subject. It's about how people don't realize that God's perfection is not ignoring anything about what's in front of you, that God is letting you know that when you step into him, you see everything that's happening to you as from God and for you, for your good. Even the bad shit that you... And we've all been tainted. We've all drank the Kool-Aid, the fig-flavored Kool-Aid, as I say. We've all drank from the tree of morality, from the, oh, and this is good and this is bad. And I'm telling you right now, it may be the first time you've ever heard it in your whole life, but you want to start. Don't let the bad shit get to you so much. I understand the ideas. It sounds really wise to ignore the bad, only think good. And there's some of that's hard to disagree with. But what happens is when you get over and you start trying to live that life and you have a bunch of tragedies happen, because tragedies happen. Suffering happens. Sicknesses will happen. You're speaking that into your life. No, I'm not. Genetics are part of what, just think, accidents. Things happen. Shit happens. But it's not a real true way to live. It's not the best way to think. And when you eat from the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, and you're living off these lists, and you're dividing every moment of every day up. Is this good? Is that bad? Is this good? Is this going to hurt? Is this right? Was that wrong of me to do that? Do I need to? It's an anxiety creator. Do you want to know why we're so messed up and full of anxiety? And it's this epidemic of anxiety and depression in our world. Do you want to know why? We don't think right. And you really need to resolve the way you think about these lists, these pros and cons, these good and bad. We really need to resolve within ourselves how we approach it. I recommend eating from the tree of life. The tree of life says that's life. Eat that. It's not because God turns everything that feels like it's coming against you now away and it stops coming against you. No, you look at it differently. You know what? That isn't here to hurt me. I used to think that was here to hurt me. Now I know from experience too, and I have faith in it, that that's going to bless me. And I will look back on this and I'll be better for it. You'll spend more time not worried, more time not afraid, more time not suffering additionally. You don't need to add to everyday things with a bunch of worry and fear. Jesus says, let not your heart be troubled. Let not your heart be, just relax, take it easy. It's all right. Don't let it don't let it. He didn't say, I will stop it. He says, don't let your heart be troubled. And if you look for it, I'm going to teach you and show you and give you a peace right now you can't even understand. Because we've been drinking the fig-flavored Kool-Aid for a long time. And it sounds wise, doesn't it? Yeah, this is good and that's bad. Do this, don't do that. It's a curse. It's a curse. The curse of the law. And that's good and evil thinking on steroids. There is something that I want to share with you, and I don't have any of the things. So my book is one of the things I want to talk about. I'm rereading my book to my wife. And it's really been a blessing. And I did a good job. I'm pretty excited about it. I also have my store, Dubl A store, right? So the Dubl A shop. And I have my mugs on there, and I have a sweatshirt. I should make a T-shirt or something, but I haven't got that far, because no one gives a shit yet. And in the end, what my goal is that people that listen to me for very long will feel closer to God, not just closer, but one with God. Because closer is still a mindset that doesn't help you very much. Closer is still that separated thing. God's still out there, but I'm closer. What we want is God and I are not separate entities. I'm part of him and he is part of me. There's no discerning between us. And the only thing stopping us is what we know about it and what we believe. So believe and be one with God. All right? I really appreciate you guys. Love you. And we'll see you next time on the Dubl A Show. Should I say it? Let's lock this bitch up.